The idea. I did it right. Hit that button over here. The idea. Look at it real quick. Oops. The idea is never the solution, but always a journey to your genius. As we get ourselves set up, as we always say around this time, ooh, shea butter. Rub that shea butter into your skin, rub it in. Divine Rise, Grand Rising, blessed be to the day. May it be everything that you require to create everything that you desire. I want you to be the fucking best. As we invest into the changes, as we become the observer of the investments into our changes, the best way to understand these changes is understanding the night before. That's how we win the day. We understand the night before. So when I say this to this aspect, I speak into terms of what story are you telling yourself? Ask yourself a simple question. Ask yourself the most simplest of questions and be honest with yourself with your answer. What story are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself a story that's based on repetition? Repeating the same thought processes? Last night we got into the aspects of leveling up in the God Hour show. Are you telling yourself a story that keeps you in a state of never truly challenging yourself? Or are you telling yourself a story that is going to allow you to become the actual victor? Are you telling yourself stories to keep you in a state of that false sense of victory to yourself? This is one of those aspects for us when we're making our moves, while we're growing, while we're learning ourselves, while we're bringing ourselves into the reality, going deeper into, before Friday night, we get into emulation. This Friday we get into breaking imitation. A lot of times we follow this narrative with ourselves in this story that's simply based on us. As I'm finishing up sending this out, I don't like the way Facebook did this new thing when you can't share to multiple groups, but it's okay. We still gonna make it work. And I'll send out the rest after we do this. But coming into this space for yourself, what story are you telling yourself? How are you invoking and investing in the changes of yourself? What are you doing? Are you simply giving yourself the same story of, I'm strong, I'm not going to show the weakness, I'm not going to do this? When it becomes true to the matter, you need that space. If you need that, like, there's certain things that I always tell my clients after I do a reading with people, when I talk to my clients, and they always feel like they're still stuck in that same narrative of black people don't need therapy, black people don't need to go to therapy and all of these aspects. It's not that you don't need therapy, it's just that you are of the original, so anything in this traditional aspect is not really going to help you get deep inside of yourself. A lot of us come into this space, we tell ourselves a story to simply boost our ego, keep our ego flourishing, keep us doing what we're doing, never going outside of our weight class, as we talked about last night, never going outside of our weight class, never allowing ourselves to experience anything more than what we have been used to, never experiencing more or being able to emulate that love from inside of ourselves when we become more intimate with ourselves. We allow ourselves to become shut down in certain aspects of ourselves, just in the aspect of thought. Some people can't even I have conversations where I can say the word orgasm and it's meant to the mental aspect, mental capacity. I have conversations. My conversations are different because I'm truly invested in my changes. I'm the observer of my changes. I'm understanding in that space of more, going through that healing process with myself. And that's one of the major keys when you're understanding these small linkages, understanding these small aspects inside of ourselves that have left us moving in a caution. It leaves us, when you're truly in your own lane, when you're truly in yourself, you're doing that work, you're doing this inner work with yourself, you truly come into this space where you're no longer, you're aware of what you're attracting, but you're not doing it based on defense. I've talked about it before. There's observational offense and this observational defense. For a lot of us, if we're in an unhealed state, we're in this state of observational defense. That means I'm looking for things to defend. I'm looking for things to defend myself and keep me within the parameters of my emotional paralysis. We've been getting into emotional paralysis all week. To keep me in my state of emotional paralysis. We'll listen, even when we're listening to elders speak on certain things, they're simply bringing it to the forefront. It's up to you to actually apply what they're saying to you. But you can't look at it through ego. I remember looking at a video from Baba Dick Gregory, and he was talking about you can't even go outside to hit the stop sign without experiencing racism, experiencing prejudice, experiencing you being shut down. What he was emulating, what I interpreted was, you cannot go outside without being aware of where you are at within your space. You cannot go outside without being aware of what's in your space. But it's time to take yourself out of this story that you've been telling yourself that I can't do anything because I'm always going to be shut down. Remember, that mind is all and everything is mental. You breathe breath into every thought. You breathe breath into every thought, even if you don't speak it out loud. So if you carry that thought into your mind that you're oppressed, that you're in a state of oppression, you're in a state of struggle, you're in a state where you can't get out of, guess what? Every time you breathe that through your body. You take that deep breath in with that thought, and that thought is carried through your body. And now you're wondering why you're feeling why your back locked up or your arms hurt, or you can't seem to plateau past a certain point. It's because you literally took that breath of that into your body. No one's stopping you from doing anything. No one's stopping you from healing. It's just that you have to remove these parameters that you put into your mind that everything, here's the key. Until you understand and you accept your benefits from the trauma, talked about this before, the benefits from the trauma, until you are able to accept, truly letting go of everything, nothing's going to be the same. You can't grow. See, that precondition in our minds, we put ourselves into that thought process that if I do this, this, and this, then I can have my family back. My family can stay the same. My friends can stay the same. You're not doing all of this work, it's internal work, to stay the same. Remember, everybody has their assignments. Everybody has their purpose. If you don't understand yours, you cannot observe others. If you do not understand, and if you do not understand your experiences, if you do not know or understand your purpose, then how can you observe and or experience the assignments of others? You'll look at it through that emotional bias. You'll look at, man, this is why I don't open up, because every time I open up, this happens. When you're opening up, you're learning emotional clarity. It's not going to be, if I open up and then I get hurt, then I'm not going to open up anymore. Move through that shit. You're being taught you're being taught how to balance your emotions. You're being taught what it is that is triggering you. You're being shown the trigger. You're being shown the anger that you need to work on. You're being shown the insecurity that you need to work on. You're being shown the jealousy that you're being worked on. You're being shown the true story of yourself. You're being shown your truth. But that ain't me. That ain't me. I ain't never been that way. I've always been real. stuck in a bias. Because when you're honest, and the true honest, and when you honest and standing on your square, outside of bias, outside of the fear narrative, truly in aspects of loving yourself, understanding that love and that healthy aspects of yourself, you standing on your square, you ain't worried about how somebody's going to feel or somebody's going to react. You're not worried about how somebody's going to feel and how somebody's going to react, but you're learning how to respond. You're learning the information that you need to get within that space. One of the hardest things for a lot of us is when we start doing our healing process and then we expect to go around family members that have their assignments, friends that have their assignments, mind you, and then you start saying certain things and how they're going to look at me, how they're going to perceive me. Their perception is their perception. I'm growing in the understanding of others' perception of myself. But I don't have to partake in the imagery or the thought process that they're using in their perception. I can respect their perception. I have understanding of their perception. I can tell where it's streaming from. I can tell there's something within inside of them. I can respect it. But that doesn't mean I gotta I don't have to accept the invitation to go into that space and now I gotta say something to them. I gotta set them straight. Old mentality. You ain't gotta set them straight. Why? Because all you're doing is allowing your emotions to become unbalanced. He who controls your emotions is your master. How many do you have authority over your life? How do you start your day? How do you end your day? How do you navigate through your day? Do you move through your day in a setting of self-awareness and open to the aspects of what you're about to learn? Or are you moving in a state of this observational defense when you're looking for something to defend yourself against? A lot of us move in that space a lot of times and don't even realize it. We move in this space in an observational defense. You move in your space in an observational defense. I'm moving in my space in an observational offense. I'm moving my space in an observational offense. That means I'm aware of everything that can happen. I'm aware. I'm open. I'm aware and I'm open and I'm trusting the process of everything that I'm about to experience in that day. I'm trusting the experience because what I do when you open up into this aspect, we don't get into this deeper in the lecture on Friday. When I'm getting into this aspect of emulating, I'm learning everything is something I can learn from. Everything. Nothing's off limits for me to learn from. Nothing is off limits for me to learn from, experience. Nothing is off limits. You got to stop putting these limiters on yourself. Because all you're doing is showing yourself that you're not ready to embrace your full power of yourself. You're not ready for that honest conversation with yourself. I want you to have that honest conversation with yourself. I want you to understand that dream relationship that you're trying to build is going to come at the price of shadow work. And yes, you must accept that if you start healing yourself, the individuals around you it could have been you've been in a relationship on and off, rocky ass relationship for about 10 fucking years. When you start doing that healing work, the inner mechanics that are reflected in that relationship are going to start to falter. And now you can't be in that space anymore. Because now you're going through the healing process like, nah, that ain't me no more. That relationship will end because it served its purpose. That friendship is going to end because it served its purpose. That bond with that family relationship, the relationship you have with family members is going to end because you have stopped imitating the story of the trauma. You're breaking the imitation. You're breaking down and understanding the obstructions. You're removing yourself from the pillars of captivity. You're bringing yourself into that balance with yourself. And that's your process. If you need that therapy, and that counseling, that's what I'm here for. GOD@AlchemistLLC.com. If you need that in-depth healing, you need that guidance in your healing. That's what this is for. That's what my content is based in. I went through that healing process. I went through the angry conscious nigga phase. I went through them phases. I went through those phases. A lot of us are still stuck within the stories of those phases. We still stuck on the white man. They're the reflection of the degenerative behavior of you. They're the reflection of the degenerative behavior of you. A lot of the people that are around you are the reflections of the degenerative behavior of you. They're just giving you the new impression or the new aspect of you seeing it created in your space. I just want you to be fucking great. In order for you to win the day, you got to understand the night before. That means you got to really get into those shadows. The only way you're going to be able to invest and look into these shadows of yourself is becoming the observer by investing into the changes that come into your life. The only ones that are afraid to grow and evolve are the ones that are afraid to invest into the change. They're afraid to shape themselves in their new sense because it's going to challenge them in their leveling up. Stop being scared to go outside of your weight class. Get out of the weight class of guilt, insecurity, all these traumas. Get that help with the aspects of those traumas. You still living out the trauma. You still stuck in emotional paralysis. Something happened to you when you were 5. You experienced something when you were 5 or 8 years old, and now you're sitting in your space, and now you acting like an 8-year-old. You're emulating the emotional stunting of an 8-year-old, even though you're an adult, even though you're in your adult stage. It's never too late to start doing that healing process. I want you to be the fucking best. I want you to be the fucking greatest, because that's what I desire for myself. If you're interested in services, say this at the end of every live. You're interested in services, inbox me for readings, setting up a shadow work consultation so we can get that inner child healing work done. Tune into God Hour Podcast is streaming now. God Occult Alchemist YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more of that. Occult Alchemist Secret Societies coming in. And if it resonates with you, allow it. You don't have to have nothing to say. If it's resonating with you, allow it to crack that shell of that seed and allow it to help you start taking root. I want you to be the fucking best. I love you. We love us. Ashe.